As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 56 tonight. We're going to be talking about ghost dimensions, and we have a special guest with us tonight, don't we? All right. Well, this one's going to be special. I know I talk about my mom a lot. We have her tonight. I didn't think she would join us tonight, but she decided to. If the stream goes dead all of a sudden, guys, there is a pretty decent sized thunderstorm outside, so we might get pulsed. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll have to start a new stream, so just look for the notification to pop back up on Facebook. I have to start a brand new one, so it won't be this link. YouTube, it'll be the same event, so you can just hang out until I come back. But if that happens, I apologize in advance. So we have Jess and Missy with us tonight. And we also have Mom. Do you want to say hi? Are you ready?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We are ready to talk about some weird stuff tonight. Tonight, the weird stuff involves, does ghosts exist in another dimension? I know that is I'm going to say it's a popular belief in the paranormal field, but not everybody's probably going to go along with the norm. Some people believe that they are here with us. We just can't see them and hear them and whatnot until certain times. So we're going to go into a little bit of a scientific explanation of alternate dimensions, and then we'll go into the metaphysical stuff, and I'll definitely want to hear what my mom says about that. But are you girls ready?
We are. I am ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So if you're new to the show, this is how it works. I'm going to talk about 14 minutes about what I think about dimensions, multiple dimensions. I'm going to tell you what I think about whether ghosts exist in those alternate dimensions, and then we'll do some shout outs. If you want us to shout you guys out during this show, just comment one thing, say hi, talk amongst yourselves. We'll shout you out. Please feel free to share the live streams. Get your friends in here and let me know what you guys think at all times. You don't have to agree with me, and we'll keep it friendly as long as you keep it friendly. So please don't be vulgar and don't troll. So that's all I got. That's all my only rules. Now, my early on, I did research, and I still do research on what science says about multiple dimensions, and it gets weird. It really gets impossible to understand. But if you Google tesseracts in multiple forms of different 5-dimensional and 4-dimensional shapes, you start to get your head around what the 5th dimension is, what the 4th dimension is, and so on. And string theory suggests that there's 10 to 11 dimensions for the math to work out. And their explanation for why we can't see the other dimensions because they're small. And I don't buy that. That's just an idea. And there are a lot of things in string theory are untestable. But the best analogy that I've seen for understanding how something existing in a higher plane of spatial existence can interact and how they see us and how our limitations on seeing them. So the best analogy is the two-dimensional people, the two-dimensional land. If you get a piece of paper and you draw like a stick figure on it, and that represents a person, and we're going to say that in this 2D land, there's only two axes, up and down, left and right. You can go this way and that way, this way and that way. You can't go up and down in the third axis. So they can't see anything outside of those two spatial dimensions. Now, we are the spirits. We can see three-dimensionally. We can see everything that's going on in the 2D universe, but they can't see us because we exist in a 3D unless we intersect with their dimension. But they won't see all of us. If we enter, say my hand's, the piece of paper, and they're on it, they're flat. If we enter it this way, they're going to see a little portion, like a cross-section of us. And depending on our shape in 3D and how far they go into our plane, that form will change. But if we do not intersect with their dimension, we can see them and everything they're doing, but they can't see us at all. So I thought this was interesting when I read about this and researched it, because sometimes we see like two-dimensional flat shadowy things, like shadow figures per se. They look like flat shadows. Sometimes we see like anomalies, orbs, masses, weird things, right? So that would seem to me that the idea of the 2D landers would be possible. It's feasible. So that can kind of give you an idea why spirits can kind of check us out, and they're seemingly invisible until they want to intersect into our realm. So how they talk to us, how they exchange acoustic energy back and forth is still unknown, and how they actually manifest into our realm is unknown. But then, once we start talking about these different dimensions, we start to kind of grasp and understand why they can see us, but we can't see them. And when they do go into our realm of existence, it's weird at times. It's really rare that a ghost comes up to you in perfect 3D physical form. I think it's fair to say that just never happens, but I could be wrong. But that's the gist of it, okay? If you start getting into the metaphysical, there's a long belief, especially it started in the Eastern religions and belief systems, that there's this thing called ether. Now, ether used to be this tangible energy field where everything happens. Like when you talk about light waves, energy waves, all that stuff. Now, science used to even adopt the ether. They said if something physical acts as a wave, there has to be some type of substance there. So when you get waves, it just doesn't wave in a void of nothing. Waves, require some type of medium, like water or liquid medium, to be a wave. So they used to call that the ether. Now, Hinduism and a lot of other beliefs still believe in the ether, and that would give rise to an what they call an ethereal realm, or the ether realm, depending on who you are and who you talk to. They say it a little bit differently. So that kind of acts as not so much a spatial realm, but a transient realm, to where entities could possibly enter this realm to get to our realm. In the ether realm, it's a lot of people believe that many things can manifest and many things are possible. Now, when you start getting into science, there's the many worlds interpretation. Oh, the lights flickered. Many worlds interpretation means that anything at any moment can branch off into its own universe, because everything happening around us is a wave of possibility. So quantum physics says it's possible that there could be infinite versions of our universe happening all around us. They just decohere from ours, so they say. Other beliefs means that everything is in a waveform and it collapses in at one point, and that's what we get ours. And that's where they kind of explain consciousness in that way. So that's just one interpretation in science. Now, that the metaphysical ether means that that's where everything pretty much spawns from. Like, that's where matter spawns from. That's where all of its effects, the wave nature of light and energy and radiation, that's where they kind of oscillate and vibrate in. And that gives rise to many other types of vibrations that are out there, not only dealing with mass and certain spectrums of the the electromagnetic field that we know of, or we can talk about what psychics pick up on, and what people can actually see. Now, if you get far out there, you start talking about psychedelics, going on vision quests where Native American cultures use psychedelics to kind of break out of the ego and go into this ethereal realm. And I have actually, I've talked about me doing that. And when I did that and I came back to where my mom was living, I stayed with her, I actually did get to experience things that my mom could see on a normal basis. And that told me that there's something to that, right? You don't, when you go on a psychedelic trip, you're not just seeing things that aren't there. I believe that you are actually perceiving things in a different, perception, a different wavelength that other people naturally can do. So when you talk to witches, shamans, psychics, whatever label you want to slap on them, some people's brain chemistry are already there. They already have the natural ability to tap into that ethereal realm. Now, it is possible that there's other spatial dimensions out there that, are like this, but they have to go into that ethereal realm, if you ask me, in my opinion. But I would love to hear what everybody else thinks about this. So the question is, do ghosts exist in this ethereal, kind of transient plane? Or is it somewhere else and they have to use the ethereal plane to get to us? So we're gonna ask Mom, we'll ask the girls, and we'll ask the chat. We'll see what kind of madness we can stir up here. Do you want to go ahead and start the shout outs, and we'll go from there?
Sure.
You had Christy's mom? No way. No,
Is
that's
she
not
talking to
Christy.
me?
No, she's probably talking to my mom. Christy's mom wouldn't be watching.
Mom.
Hi, Mom.
We might have Derek's mom
Hi.
too. We don't know.
True.
Okay, go ahead and do the shout outs for YouTube.
Sam Thomas, she was on. She did have to leave. Truth Paranormal. Paranormal Reporter was on. Heath Edwards and Supernatural Lost Adventures.
Sweet. Thanks for joining us. Is there any questions or interesting comments yet?
Joe just said he's just there for your mom.
Okay, well,
He's just watching the show because your mom's on it.
yeah, Mom's to my left. You won't see her on camera, but you'll get to hear her. So we'll go ahead and start with you first.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Oh,
They
Oh,
said
did you
I
have
was
something?
muted.
Someone's muted? Who?
let's see.
I'm muted.
You're muted? Yeah, you are. Let me go to Missy. Yeah, when we went to your screen,
Everybody's
you were
here.
muted for some reason. Sorry, Missy. I
Get it
didn't check
together,
that.
Justin.
Dude, you should see my soundboard right now.
Oh, I can only
It's pretty
imagine.
crazy. So, do you want to go ahead and do the shout outs again? Unmuted?
I can. if you
Okay, go
want.
ahead.
I have Derek. I have Bill Davis. I have Melissa Grubbs. I have Josh Bender. I have Sandy Griffith. I have Christy Brown. I have Nicole. I can't pronounce her last name. I have Nelson. Christy said hi, Mom. Becky, Jason Snyder, Brandy Reeder, Marlene Gump, John Bowman, and Valerie. Right. And everybody's so excited that your mom is here.
Well, that's what I heard. She steals the show when she comes onto the show.
She steals everything when she comes into the room.
All right.
Two
Okay.
quick things.
Okay.
Hannah or Summer Spalding's watching, and also Paranormal Voice just joins.
Paranormal Voice. That sounds new.
Yes.
All right, thanks for joining us. So if you're just now joining us, we're going to be talking about ghost dimensions. We're asking the questions, do ghosts exist in other dimensions, physical or otherwise? Mom, how would you answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, elaborate.
They are They exist here with us. We are energy beings, okay? We are all little radio frequencies. We all vibrate at a specific frequency, and each one's just a hair different. Just like radio stations, and you turn and you can go through 100 radio stations. We're all unique. We have our own frequency. That's why some of us, like if Missy and Jesse goes through a house, they're operating on different frequencies, and therefore they can pick up on the same thing, but they're also probably and should always pick up on different things because they're vibrating and reaching different levels, areas, dimensions. If you want to look at dimensions like a 50-story building, and you guys all start out on the first floor, well, Missy's working and she's already up to the 5th floor, and maybe Jesse's on the 10th floor. And it's just her frequency. So if you can look at it, maybe, I know a lot of people use an onion, there's like layers of an onion, but it also can be like a 50-story or a 100-story building now. But I see things around me all the time. Now, I'm no specialist, so I can't tell you if the reason why I'm seeing them is because I vibrate in many levels at the same time. So I could be actually like pulling them in, but I also, because I work with my human vessel as well as my spirit, they have to work together. So my human vessel may see a limited amount of things, but my spirit will see a lot more. But I'm co-inhering here with my human vessel. So my brain's going to fight me. It's going to say, oh, that's not real. And I'm like, yes, it is. Just relax. Be calm. It's okay.
Sounds like my last acid trip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. People take acid.
You're like, yeah, sure do. Sure did.
But it's interesting you say that there's a lot of complexity there, obviously. I do believe that you do pull them in at times when you're doing readings. That I definitely feel that when that happens. And then sometimes you go to them too. I think it depends. Like sometimes you just see them, you don't have to pull.
Right.
Okay, they're just there.
They're just there.
So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's not just one thing going on, obviously, there. And according to what you say, especially psychics working together, everyone operates on a different station, for lack of a better term. So, I mean, that's just everybody, too. Mm-hmm. So that could kind of explain why everybody's version of their reality and how they perceive it is slightly different. Some people are more, some people are less. There's a spectrum.
And yes, and that's why if you watch like famous places that like you go to Waverly, you can have 1,000 people march through there and they could have 1,000 different experiences. And so for the people that are skeptics, it's like, well, it's all crap. But the people who experienced it, for each individual, it's absolutely real and valid.
So, yeah, that's definitely a good way to start off this conversation. I know we got questions coming in. Who wants to go first?
Missy can.
Okay.
Okay, I have 3 questions. Valerie wants to know, where do you think your soul resides inside your body?
Do you want to take this?
I would have to say it's basically in the third eye. Okay. In the probably the pineal gland area. Okay, but it relies it's all along the chakra. Okay? Your 7 chakra points. It's like all there, but basically it's in the pineal gland area from my experience. I've had times where I have been, and other people may relate to this, where I've been extremely ill. And my only part of existence where I had consciousness was in the penal area. The rest of my body felt like it was like 50 miles long. If, it was just like it was this humongous giant. And so it was like I was barely grasping being in this reality. And so the only toe point I had was there. So I would say for the most part, it's in the penal area, behind the third eye.
So the way I view the pineal gland, like that's the gateway to another realm. Now, when we were last time we were at the Monroe House, you talked about the ether realm. Now, do you think? Now, I've heard there's beliefs where if you're in the ethereal realm, you can actually see a silver cord tethered to your physical body, to your spirit body. Now, is the ethereal realm? Is that just a place your soul travels to? I think the question I want to know is, okay, if your soul's in your physical body, that the pineal gland's kind of where it's tethered, or is that actually where it's at in this plane?
That's where it's basically at. The first time I heard people talking about a tether, I'm like, where's there a tether? And I looked everywhere for my tether, and I don't have one.
So some people don't have one. It's
I
not
guess
the same.
not. Everybody, there's a lot of people out there says you have to have one. I can't find mine if that's the case. So
That's interesting.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I can't find ways to add to that, but the soul can travel. I want to add that it's never just in one place. It can travel to other dimensions, and even in our dimension, it can travel. So you can't just say it's always in one place, but it starts and originates in the pineal gland as far as we know. All right, keep on going because I know that we're getting a lot.
Do you think that near-death experiences have anything to do with deja vu and our dimensions and other dimensions?
Deja vu, you know what that is, right?
Yeah, I do. We should actually have deja vu every 5 minutes. Everything that we're doing now, we've already pre-planned ahead of ourselves. We're like a half an hour behind. And so we should all be experiencing deja vu. So and a lot of people do, but some people, I guess, never do. I have a lot of deja vu. It can be confusing at first. If you're like, didn't you just say that? And didn't I just do that? And I'm all confused because it's like I just lived it, but yet I'm living it again. But we're actually, we have like all these other possible ways we could say what we're saying right now, and it'll come down to a final point to where we finally pick this one. So we're actually living, just for a ballpark figure, like 10 different realities at the same time. So deja vu with near-death experiences, sure, absolutely. You can have that. You can see a future event, and it's a possibility that it can happen if everything. It's just like you said, when you look at something, it can change in a wink of an eye, and when you don't, it can go in different directions. So it can be deja vu, or it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to explain it. The only way to add to that for me is scientifically, if you want to understand it on that level, go look. If you haven't heard about the double slit experiment, go check that out. It'll blow your mind. Okay, and what my mom was talking about was people who are intuitive, people who have abilities, perceptual abilities, will have the deja vu a lot, and they will actually be what they call precognitive. They can see to a certain point into their future, and they'll see different variations, and they also can slip in between one possible future into others, and then they will see their past changing too. So they can go into the woods, see this house that was never there before, go interact with that, and then leave, come back, and then find it not being there again. Or they'll find out that people will come up to them, hey, do you remember this one thing that used to happen? No, I don't. To them, it changed, and it's called the Mandela effect. And there's two different flip sides of that. But back to the double slit experiment. If you shine, let's say photons at the double slit, you get a interference pattern, a wave. The particles act like waves. Till you look at it. If you look what the photon's doing right before it chooses what slit it goes through, the collapse of the waveform happens, and then it chooses a slit. So what that means is everything that's happening is a probability wave until right before you're perceiving it, and it collapses. Okay? So the deja vu could be the precognition before the collapse of all these possible things happening. And we can actually replicate that scientifically, which is fucking rad. Next question.
Okay, Becky wants to know, what does she do to keep her energy up spiritually?
Eat cookies.
That sounds good.
And yellow popsicles.
I'm sorry, girls. You're not going to have to hear her because I have to mute my mic or it'll be doubled.
Okay.
To keep my energy up, I need to be a hermit. I hear and receive so much information, and I'm not talking just from the paranormal. I'm talking from all human beings, animals, even anything that's living. If you want the grass, the trees, bugs. It can get overwhelming.
Then you have ghosts.
And then I have the ghosts and other visitors. So it's better for me to be as far away from people. That gives me time to just not fight off everybody's energy. So that's me, though.
You should look into what other spiritual practice that kind of aligns with your way of thinking. There's ways to raise your vibration. That's my mom's way, and I'll tell you what, it works, okay, for her, but it may not work for you. You may need to be around people to help raise your vibration. So I don't want to just say that will be the one-all fix-all.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, that's just for me. Some people use is actually, if you're into crystals and gemstones, they can be a great thing or an evil thing as far as attacking you.
Jess, or Missy?
Some of your stones will work against you horrendously, and you might not even understand that's what's going on. So, yeah, you might want to learn about the gemstones and the crystals that you're using. I will say, and a lot of people probably know this already, but quartz, which is your clear crystals, your quartz, they are a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay. So I'll kind of just put a warning out there just a little bit. They're beautiful and I love them. If you wear them, if you are happy, they are going to make you extremely happy. If you are sad, they are going to make you extremely sadder. They will duplicate whatever you're feeling, your emotions. So if you're having a bad day and you have crystals on, please take them off. Okay, seriously. They love to duplicate and triplicate things. So just a lot of people I don't think are aware of that. Also, if you have someone that is very upset that's near you and you have crystals on, again, just remove your crystals and let them, try to calm them down and make them as peaceful as you can, but take your crystals off because they like to magnify everything.
Yeah, I of course I tell these girls the same thing. A lot of people do end up, reaping what they sow when it comes to the crystals. But yeah, she pretty much summed it up there. So hopefully I answered the question. Let's go to YouTube real quick.
Okay. I have 3 new viewers. 1, Eric Weiss and Edward Kensley. Edward said, "Is there any truth to the movie like The Sixth Sense? Can it happen in real life?"
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm. Yep. Someone can die and not know they're dead and still continue to live like they're here. I believe that happens all the time. Is probably the reason for a lot of hauntings.
Yeah.
But it can get weirder than the Sixth Sense too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be in one place, but you can be in another place, and that person thinks that they're in another place and not even aware of another version of them in another place. And yeah, totally. I mean, do you have anything else to add to why the Sixth Sense could be a thing, a real thing?
Yeah, well, because I've dealt with entities that aren't aware that they're gone without a vessel, because we truly never really die. We transition. The vessel ends, but we don't. So a lot of times, if you remember a particular person in our home, he kept. It was almost like replay, but he kept running in looking for his children because he used to own the house. And I would have to try to explain to him that, because he would see you and your brother, and he was confused. He's looking for his kids, but there's strange kids in his house. And it's like, well, those are my kids. And so then I would have to explain where his children were so he could go find them. He would do that, but then he would forget and come back over and over again. So he just was struggling.
So that's interesting that in that deceased trapped loop that he's stuck in, his memories don't evolve really. Like you can give him the information, but then he kind of goes back to sleep and wakes up like forgetting what happened before. It's almost like that, right?
Yeah,
like a dream loop state.
Right. He's in a
take notes, guys, because
stressful.
This stuff gets really weird. Okay. Take notes. All right. Do we got anything else?
Yes. Hannah wanted to know if you would mentally try to make yourself see something paranormal, do you think it would be less likely to happen?
It depends. It's possible. It's kind of like, if you want to do something, the more you want to do it, the more it won't happen. So it's possible that you can block yourself because, again, you're working with two energies. You're working with your spirit you and your human vessel, and they need to work together. And the human vessel is like, I don't think so. You have to work with your human vessel in order to let it calm down and see its realities that are around it. But it is possible if it's like, okay, I want to peek. And so if it wants to peek and if it's curious, then you make it a safe place, and then you could. Then it's possible. Your human vessel fights you a lot, more than you probably know. You've ever heard the expression, you are your worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll definitely add to that. I think this question largely depends on the person. Some people may want to see things, but are unconsciously or repressing fear, like a large amount of fear of seeing them, and that's what's holding them back. That might be true for me in a lot of points of actually seeing something being too real. But if you're one of those people who have no fear but still are trying everything they possibly can to see entities and you're still not seeing them, this is not legal, but go experiment with ayahuasca. Go to South America, take some ayahuasca, take some psilocybin, use psychedelics. That's what tribal people do. That worked for me. After I changed, I broke out of that small range of perception, and I was like, I just got out of it. Ever since then, I found out that there's like roadblocks that we kind of like develop. When we're younger, there's less blocks. We're less conditioned. And then through time, you develop these blocks. And we also talked about there's spiritual immune systems to things too. So just think all this stuff's around us all the time in spirit form. The reason why we're not getting attacked randomly by bad things is because we have an aura that protects us. So you have to work with the modulation of that too. It gets weird.
That was Summer's sister that asked that question.
Okay, yeah,
You
it's a
remember
good
Summer?
question.
Yeah.
Just try to work with psychics or people that have found out how to break through that perceptional roadblock. And if that doesn't help, you may have to go to drastic measure like psychedelics or something.
Well, I mean, just like how I came to be able to do things, and then Summer talking to me. Like, I think the more you communicate with people that have abilities, the more open that you become. So if that's something that she wants to do, Hannah, send me a text. Heath wanted to know, has your mom seen the movie The Others, and is that how she sees the spirits that she sees?
Nicole Kidman.
Yes. I see them in many ways. I can either see them as they believe that they look when they had a human vessel in their human form. They can be a shadow. They can be a voice only. I get a variety of what I receive. It can be just voices, or I can see them. I can, if I've had them smoking a cigar and they're choking me out. So I can be like fully in their realm, or I can be just partially there, because I have just a certain range of vibrations that I can go in and out of, because I haven't tried to go through 1,000. And I'm not sure how many I do. I do know that I can adjust my vibration, which a few people that's been close enough to me may have felt that. Because
that was Derek at the Monroe House.
Right.
That's right. Yes, he did feel that. So he has, and Justin has felt it as well, which kind of has wowed him a couple of times. He's just like, Mom, I just felt that. And I'm like, okay, that's good. And Jess, you're right. If that other person that was talking, definitely, if she can be around people that's already dealing with being outside the box, that would help her. Because I've been with a few people that were totally knew nothing, did nothing paranormal. They were just like, in a little box. And then I start talking to them and telling them things, and all of a sudden they're going for a ride and they're freaking out.
I get it. Missy, do you have any questions? Because I probably have enough questions for the rest of the show.
Becky wants to know, so does she pick up everyone around us?
I pick up a lot. I don't know that I'm sure I'm not picking up everybody, because there are volumes and volumes of energies all around us at all times. It doesn't have to be like at midnight or 3 a.m. I see them at noon. I can walk in anybody's home and I may see like the room is packed. I don't say anything because it's going to freak people out. A lot of times you may see me nod because I'm looking at a particular energy and they're looking right back, and I'll smile at them. If there's children in the room, I might pat them on the head, but you're seeing me patting the air. So I don't know that I see all of them, but I see many.
And to add to that, the best analogy is the TV or the radio. Is like, why would you listen to a radio all the channels at once? Right? You wouldn't do that.
No.
It's not practical.
Right.
So what I've seen my mom do is, if it's not there in the forefront when she goes into a space, she changes her vibration until she gets a channel with a station. And then if that's the one she thinks she's tuning into, she stays there. If not, she keeps scanning until she gets to the one she needs. And that's the best analogy I can come up with.
That sounds good.
Okay, so I have a question. My own question. So if your third eye and your pineal gland are one and the same, which is what she said a little bit ago, could your pineal gland be blocked and not your third eye?
Yeah, because your pineal gland is part of your human vessel.
Okay.
And the human vessel, you know, there's two of you. You know, have you ever heard of me, myself, and I? All three of you have to agree that you want to walk through the door. So if your pineal gland, which is your human you, says no, then yeah, it'll block you. But if it says okay, I'll take a peek, then there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you got to also consider stuff like fluoride calcifying your pineal gland.
Oh, we're not even covering the food issue.
Well, it's relevant though, right? In this with that question, I would think.
Right. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, and your water supply is not clean, the air that you're breathing, if you're in big heavy cities, like when I travel on the highway and I'm traveling 2 hours to work and 2 hours back, and I'm breathing all that car muffler smoke, it's gonna work on your body, and your body's not gonna be able to function as well as if you weren't being exposed.
Right. All right. Well, keep going with the questions if they're there. We'll probably definitely go over an hour tonight.
Okay. Eric wants to know, does Justin's mother believe in spirit portals? Can we open and close portals?
I'm not sure about spirit portals. There are portals, but there's portals that the human vessel may be able to walk through. But I would say yes, definitely portals for the spirit. That's a portal is like a door, and when I was very, very small, I would see what you might call a portal or a doorway, but now that just doesn't happen anymore. It's just like everything is an open wall. It's vast openness. So, and this is just me. Maybe some people, it's always a portal, an opening for spirit. But yeah, you can. The earth has portals that open up. Some stay open all the time, and others close and open like you would breathe. Okay? And those can be different realms as well, because the earth is, of course, a living being as well.
Yeah. Portals is kind of like almost like a really bad, vague way to say, to cover a large spectrum of phenomena, right?
It's kind of tough to,
Yeah, because some of the cases you've been with me on, you've explained vortices and vortexes, yes. And that's different than a portal.
Yes, that is different.
Usually it's only like one way. It's not like you can go back and forth. It's like only a way that they can come through, right?
No, it's like a tide. The tide goes out and then it comes back in. So it's going to be moving one direction. It's an escalator, and then it's going to come back. Like, say, every 12 hours, every 24 hours, every 6 months. It just depends on what it is.
Okay, so in short, it's not just a doorway. It could be lots of different things that may be described in different analogies used other than a doorway.
Okay. Eric wanted to know, can you... Oh, I lost it. Give me a second. I'm so sorry. Can you learn to be psychic?
Yes. Hopefully, but the human vessel has to agree to it.
Love that you said. That was the most beautiful explanation I've ever heard. And the reason why you say that is there's inhibitions that the physical person has, like fears, anxieties, their own drive and motives and stuff, and they have to coincide with the metaphysical stuff.
Right. The human vessel is always afraid of the unknown, because it's unknown. If somebody's telling you to step off a cliff, because that's what you see, but another person's like, no, there's a floor there. It's going to be very hard to get the person that don't see the floor to take the step off the cliff. So that's what you're fighting yourself.
Okay. Supernatural Lost Adventures wants to know, where is that gland physically in the brain?
I'll pull up a photo.
Yeah.
Let me unmute myself here real quick. Sorry, I have to keep muting myself so when she talks. She's right up next to me. You're going to hear her on 2 mics, so just bear with me. I'll look it up and throw it up on the screen for you guys. It's in the center, right where the third eye would be, but back further. But
Correct.
We'll give you. Okay, we'll turn on. Here's the left monitor.
Now with that gland, is anything? What happens if you have like any kind of damage to it?
That would be an issue. As long as the human vessel is willing, you don't have to use that gland, but that's the most functional gland.
Right.
So the pineal gland is right here by the it's right under the thalamus, and there's a couple other things there, but it's right there. It's real small, and it actually is shaped like an eye. Like it has the anatomy similar to an eye, but it looks like it's de-evolved and shrunk. But it's really what's really cool about the pineal gland is it's shaped like a pine cone, and you'll see in Egyptian art and sculptures and stuff, along with other different ancient cultures, they have pine cone like shaped things in their art and in their language and the way they, you know what I'm saying. And a lot of people believe that they had knowledge of the pineal gland, and that's why you see that. So hopefully that illustration there helped you out. It's like the thalamus is this big cavity right in your limbic system, right at the top of your brainstem, and right underneath it in the back is where the pineal gland is. And it's shaped like a pine cone. So it's right there in the midbrain where all of the outside sensory information is coming in. So that would make sense. It's a sensory organ, but we're not sensing things like sight, sound, that type stuff. It's coming from other places, we'll say. All right.
That's all I have on YouTube. I apologize. I apologize if I did miss anybody's questions or comments, but I tried to scroll through and I thought I got them all. Other than they wanted to know if you were in an accident.
If I'm what?
Or what?
If you were in an accident, if your mom were seeing you coming. We apologize. We have some people in this
You didn't plan to conceive me, did you?
Yeah, actually.
It was planned? Okay.
Yeah.
So no,
She
fuck
didn't
you
plan
guys.
on you being such an ass, but
right. We're stuck with Justin Brown.
Well, regardless if I was an accident or not, you're still
we
stuck
love
with
him
me.
just the way he is.
Eric had just, I think it's just new. Yeah. Is our human vessel vibration and our soul the same thing?
No. They vibrate differently. But putting them together, they vibrate like hitting 2 to 3 keys on a piano. So they'll actually make a tone.
I agree. They have to be harmonious in the universe for them to work together. If they are not good.
Okay. Becky wants to pick your mother's brain and ask her a bunch of questions, but she doesn't want to do it.
That'll be
She wants to, but she doesn't.
That'll be $99.95 an hour, Becky. And my PayPal is at Justin Brown at interfacedeath.net. You're welcome. I pretty much learn. I've added the science stuff to everything that you've pretty much taught me.
Because I don't know the science.
But because everything that you have said is pretty much what I've seen, but coming from someone else's point of view, the way they would relate and make analogies and synonyms to it, is if that makes sense. So the way she's explaining
everybody just likes your mom better.
Oh, she's way nicer than I am. You much rather would hear it from her than me. Because, yeah, she's way nicer.
When I walk in a room with your mother, I get this sense of like calm. Like she's just this calm human being, and her spirit is just so calm.
Yeah, that's what she's created. That's, she kind of, isolates herself. She's found out if she kind of goes into her own little world that she can control the vibration and energy of and maintain it. She can maintain that vibration and let that permeate through not only the metaphysical side, but into the physical realm as well. So she carries that vibration with her. She's almost like a healing crystal,
right?
Of sorts. So when you get around her, your vibration starts detecting it and saying, "Oh, I like that. I want to vibrate that way."
Right.
And that's what I was just. Go ahead, Nessie.
But then I feel like, okay, if I ask her a question, is she going to be like immediately think I'm crazy or know I'm crazy?
Well, see that you're going to have to get rid of that if you want to be enlightened and explore these types of things. You're just going to have to be straightforward with it with someone, and if you're afraid to talk to her, you got to be afraid to talk to me about things.
Well, I'm just afraid to talk to you because you're just crazy as I am.
She's nicer, Justin. No, listen, Mom. When we tell Justin, hey, we see this or we heard this, you know what he tells us?
No.
Everybody can do it. So it's like, wait a minute. No.
well, let me explain that. Yeah, I'm joking, but I say all the time, everybody's psychic. Yeah. Everybody does psychic things that fall under that definition. Everybody is a little bit psychic. Some are just way more psychic than others. Some just suppress it, they regress it, they push it away, they deny it. But we do things that are defined as psychic all the time, whether we like it or not. And that's kind of why I joke about that.
I have questions. If you have one, you can. Go ahead. Missy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Poor Missy. I don't know if she has any questions. But to say something further, what she said, she has things she wants to ask, but she's afraid to. I have seen other people with abilities, and I'm just in a crowd. And I've seen the crowd ask questions, and the person with the abilities can be very not nice. And I'm like, wow, these people are these are genuine questions. And this person that has knowledge is treating them like children and treating them like they're stupid. And I can see where if you've ever had that happen, you just don't want to open your mouth. You just would rather not, even though you're dying for an answer. So, Missy, I understand how you were like, I want to ask, but I'm afraid. So, but don't be afraid to ask me. If I have an answer, I'll gladly give it.
Okay. Becky had a question too. She wants to know why she only sees one color of aura. She only sees gray.
That's because she's not quite toned in. It's good she sees gray because there's a lot of people that don't see any auras. I don't know, what she would need to do to see the actual colors, because I can see the colors. But the fact that she's actually seeing the gray is a good thing. She's seeing them. What she may want to do, since she's just seeing the gray, is to feel the gray. Since she can't see the colors, she may be able to feel what the vibration of the person is. Like, instead of seeing the green, she may feel the vibration, and it can be either high-pitched or low-pitched. So if she can start using her feelings, and hopefully she'll know what I mean by that. I can't show her what a feeling is. You just feel it like a breath on your skin.
Don't the gray. I have a theory about that. If you've heard me talk about Cry4 cryptochrome proteins in the eye, they allow species and birds. Some scientists have observed that gray magnetic fields show up as a gray shadowy thing. So optically, if you were to see someone's aura, it would be gray. If it's Cry4 cryptochrome proteins in the eye, and you're optically seeing it, depending on the light. Like the light has to be optimal for you to see that. But what Mom over here is saying is don't use your eyes. Use the metaphysical, use the empathic. Anything else?
Missy, did my mom have a question?
I don't see it.
I just had a Hannah just said Jessica's mom had a question on Facebook. I think Missy went past it.
I'm gonna look now.
I'm sure not on accident.
Oh yeah, sure.
The chat's a little busy.
Yeah, oh sure, I understand. I didn't know. It was just brought up to me. We had a question. Does your mom see spirits with you tonight?
Uh-oh. Can you see it?
Yeah.
No,
he had.
Oh, my mom. Okay, Kelly Spalding. Look for Kelly Spalding.
Yes, I see spirits all the time when I come to his house. It never fails.
You seen a cool one this time, didn't you?
Yeah. There was a native chief. He's not here right now, but he was sitting in the living room before I got here. I actually could see him. I usually look to see what's going on before I get here. That way I know what's going on. But yeah, he was very comfortable sitting in the recliner. Sitting upright, he wasn't reclining, but that was the chair he was sitting in.
It's not always people, sometimes animals, like cats, dogs, and stuff.
Yeah, you've had a big giant dog sitting on the couch, and it was a very big dog. You also have cats, and that's already passed without they don't have their body anymore, but they'll come up and brush against you and jump on things. Of course, I see it. They don't normally do, but that's okay. I just try not to get too distracted with what they're doing.
Yeah, Christy was feeling it rub up against them and hearing it behind the couch.
That's right. She did.
Kelly's question was, my mom passed away about 5 weeks ago. Was wondering if she will come to me. Like, will Summer be able to sense her, or is it too soon?
Okay, Summer is her daughter that does have abilities, and she is learning. She is growing from that.
Okay. It depends on a lot of things. If the person who's passed, their vessel, they're still they just transitioned they don't have a vessel anymore. So time and space, once you transition to spirit only, can be tricky. Sometimes it's immediate. Like a lot of people say, I just saw Grandma and Grandpa at the foot of my bed, but they didn't know they had just passed, and they were actually just visiting all their family members. But even the some spirits, they may not realize a lot of time has passed. And so it may take a while, or it could be immediate. So for each individual, I have a hard time answering. I don't know her specifically, or, so it's very possible. But I can't give a set, like 2 weeks from now on a Tuesday, be there.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Sometimes a willingness to see the dead when they've passed. I hate to say this, okay? Sometimes it's unwarranted because the flow of energy and spirits on their path go in a direction, and I feel like the longing for someone to come back here can be impeding that path.
It could.
In some cases, I've seen that happen. But I just, as long as it's not like an unhealthy wanting it to come back, like I don't think she came across like that. I think it's just like, will I ever see a sign?
Oh, well, yeah. Watch the dreams. It's very easy for people to visit you in your dreams. That's the easiest place because the body's okay with a lot of dreams. It doesn't freak out. You can have a normal conversation with people in your dreams because the body's relaxed and it's like, oh, it's just a dream. So the body doesn't panic. The dreams are easier to enter.
And to add to the dream thing is make sure that you get on a normal sleeping pattern. Try not to throw off your sleeping pattern. Get a healthy sleep, like whatever you're good, whatever it's 6 to 5 to 8 hours in, and try to wake up, go to sleep the same time every time, and wake up the same time. The reason I say that is when you get into a regular sleeping rhythm, if you're waking up right after or during your REM state, you can remember your dreams a lot easier at that point. So bringing the memory from your dream into your physical self can be better than seeing them in your dream than waking up and forgetting that you had saw it. So I think that's important. I don't want you to skip that.
You could also say, hey, I'm going to bed. I'd like to see you tonight. I mean, actually say it out loud. It can. That's energy that you're putting it out there.
When you're in your dream state, you're not relying on your physical senses hardly at all, if at any. So, your spirit can interact with the spirit realm and other spirits so much easier because all the roadblocks are gone, and it's so much easier.
Valerie had a question. She said, these spirits you see around Justin, would they be in ascended masters, spirit guides, animal totems, etc.?
No.
I think she wants to know what kind.
They're just a lot of them is just everyday folks, just like going to the mall, and there's all kinds of people. It's not masters and shamans and all that. They can visit. Especially if you're requesting them, they can show up. But no, it's just like going to the mall. You don't know who's going to be there. It's everybody and anybody.
Heath Edwards asked, Mom, can spirits travel from location to locations?
Yes. They can also be stuck to a location because they believe they're stuck. Okay, so they may not leave the location because they think they can't go beyond it. Others, spirits, they know they can travel, and they travel. That's why a lot of people say if you're going to the paranormal place and you don't want it to follow you home, you either have to tell it not to, or you can do the smudging and whatever. A variety of things you feel comfortable with doing. But definitely a lot of them they not only travel in this reality, they travel in multiple realities. It doesn't have to be here.
Any other questions? No.
Williams is talking about, like, while investigating, test for sound frequencies to induce, or disperse spirits.
Night terrors. Is that the one you're talking about? The night terrors?
No, his was one up from what I was reading. That
I did read that he was using he was talking about the application of sound frequencies as a weapon by the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then he started, night terrors are a pain. Even for me, they can be aware of what is happening in the moment they are happening. It is still very uncomfortable to experience. And my daughter used to have night terrors. Like, I mean, there was a couple times that, I said on this show before and everybody laughed, but like, if she wasn't my daughter, I probably would have threw out the window because I was like expecting something crazy to happen with her. Like, she was just bawling. So I get the night terrors.
Sandy had a question. She wants to know, how can you find out who your spirit guide is if you have one? And please don't say meditate, LOL.
How do you find out who they are? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
A lot of them don't like to give their name. I don't know why.
Because it's not important.
Yeah, it must be not important because I even I used to have ones when I were very, very young, and I had at least 3 that was traveling with me, and I did ask them what their names would, and it was like I never even asked the question. They would not give me a name. So, but as far as their energy goes, I definitely knew who they were. Their energy felt the same as like a fingerprint. It's you know who they are. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's gotten a name from them. I don't travel in huge circles, so maybe some people do. I don't know.
That was Sandy Griffith that answered the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or asked the question.
Asked the question. Yeah.
All right, Sandy. On your screen, if you have not seen this movie or read this book, I want you to do it. In this movie, it talks about the identities of spirits and spirit guides. Okay, they can take on identities completely different than they were in previous lives. It's not relevant like it's relevant to us. Okay, when we try, it's human nature to want to know who people are that are impacting our lives. In the spirit sense, it does not matter. Their identities, the ego is not there. The ego is so much separate from who they identify as, if that makes sense to you. Okay, it's much more important, their message and their influence on you. And there is no attachment of identity with the ego, with the human ego there. So I completely understand why you want to know who they are. But to them, they don't really understand why you're asking them. They may not understand you at all, why you would want to know, and it may mean nothing to them about their own identity. So go watch the movie. If you can't watch the movie, read the book. The book is insanely profound when it comes to the possibilities of what the afterlife is like. Like what dreams may come, I think is the closest thing you can come to what it's like, as far as something you can watch or read about.
Eric had a question. Can spirits attach to items also?
Yes, they can. But items will definitely catch residual, and what I call an echo, but residual. So depending on how attuned you are, you may think it is a spirit attached to it. It may be just an echo, or vice versa. You may think it's just an echo and it's actually a spirit. But if it's a spirit, you should soon be able to discern which it is.
If houses can be haunted, objects can be haunted. But it's a little bit different, I think. But we really don't understand. I don't think I'm the person to tell you what those differences are. Derek's in here. Missy must have had to go smoke or use the bathroom.
Yep.
He said yep.
Both. She's smoking and shitting at the same time. All right. Do you guys want to keep going? Is there a lot more questions? Is there still interest for us to keep going? We're 10 minutes past an hour mark.
Okay, I have one. He said words just said, ask Mom, has she always had the gift or was okay, hold on, it's moving. Has she always had the gift she has, or was there a traumatic injury and then found out about her abilities?
I have always had the gifts from day one. Wasn't even walking yet. I have memories of learning how to walk, how to sit up. A lot of people don't have those memories as a child. I've even had one shaman tell me that that's impossible. But yet, no, it's true.
It's funny how a shaman tells you shit, what's possible and what's not. Like, that's the most stupidest thing.
Well, no, that was her belief. And so I was a little upset because she would think I would lie to her, because it ended up, I said some things to her that blew her away so much she had to take off and visit some elders because she just thought I was out of this world and not correct. So I was happy that she finally found an elder that said, "Okay, yes, she's fine. I'm okay." But I've always had the ability. As a very small child, it was an unfortunate thing because my mother could not handle it, and we were religious. We went to church, and I got to the point where I guess I was freaking Mom out so bad that she went to the pastor about it, and of course he was like, Helen, I don't know. That was my mom. And so Mom was very concerned of the things I was saying, about what I was seeing, and what people that weren't there were telling me. And finally, a visiting evangelist came. And so we had a meeting in the pastor's study. And the evangelist sat there and told me and my mother and the pastor that God doesn't give gifts to poor little country girls. And so at that point, I was marked as not having a God's gift, and that they decided I was demon possessed. Well, and so it got scary. No, it got scary because they prayed and prayed and prayed over me, and they just thought they could heal me and fix me and eradicate the demon. And of course, I didn't have a demon, so that wasn't happening. So
are you sure?
Yeah,
I mean, that would be cooler.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, but no. So when they couldn't pray it out of me, they just didn't know what to do, and so my mother, for her own fear, thought that since they couldn't pray it out of me, she would beat it out of me. And so the beatings started. So at that point, after a few months went by and I realized she wasn't going to stop till one of us wasn't there anymore, I learned to close my mouth, to shut up. And that's what a lot of children do. They learn to shut up because parents, if they can't see it and can't believe it, or if they're being told their children are demon-possessed, you have to learn to just close your mouth. So I learned to shut up and try not to freak too many people out as I growed up. And I had a little rough time when I went to school because I was saying things that was freaking the kids out. So that made it rough too. So I had to keep learning to shut my mouth. But no, I didn't have. I've heard of people having tragic events, near-death experiences that once they came back, the world had just totally changed for them. That truly does happen, and I believe that happens. I know that happens. I felt people change. But for me, I've had it forever.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's not just one reason why people have abilities. It could be. Oh yeah. A range.
Right.
I did. If there's any other ones before Eric Weiss's, she wanted my mom to tell us what she thought about Ouija boards. Is that the only one we have right now?
He.
Oh, he. Did I say she?
You were saying she. Yeah.
Sorry, man. He.
I have a comment and a question. It might get us more Patreons too. Bill Davis, the paranormal reporter, said maybe Patreon should have access to her spoken words.
Oh. Well, the Patreons are our financial support. They pay us a help make this content going.
So what are they saying?
They want access to pick your brain anytime they want.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, I had myself muted. The patrons want access anytime they have a question. She's not like an oracle, chained up in the basement, guys. Okay, I mean, no. You've been watching too much 300 or something.
And Bill Davis, right?
Yeah.
And Valerie wants to know, how do you hear spirits communicate with you? What does it sound like?
I hear with spirit instead of my ears. So it's not with ears. I don't know how to explain it. I hear them. They just start talking to me, or depending on where they're at, I can hear them pleading for help. I can hear them giggling and laughing. But I can't. It's not with the human ear that I hear them. It's with I guess if you want to call an inner ear.
It's like your mind's ear, I guess, is how I would describe it.
Yeah, or a spirit ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's different for everybody.
It could be, yes.
Some people, some psychics get pictures. Sometimes they get feelings. It depends on if you're clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant. Come in many different ways. So, I guess with you, you're hearing things, but it's not like.
Not with my ears. Yeah, I definitely hear them, but it's not with my ears.
What you're saying is hard to explain, I guess.
How did you, in what way did you hear the corpses' heads rolling down the stairs at Monroe House?
Well, first I seen them coming. Okay, I literally seen them because I use my spirit eyes as well as my spirit eyes were seeing them. Not my real eyes. And of course, as I seen it coming down, of course, they're like a gory movie. They were blood oozing, goozing, and slapping and spilling all over the place. So Justin couldn't see anything. Of course, I'm like, oh man, it's getting all over my pants.
No, yeah, I'm good.
So I literally seen, and you could see who I'm calling the Joker. You could see his arm come around the door at the top of the stairs, and you could just see his arm and a head, and he's chucking it down the stairway. And he did I don't know, I think 5 of them in total, but the first one was the best one he chucked. Wow. I literally could see it. You could smell the blood if you had the smell. Oh yeah. And it was like all up and down the stairs, along the sides, all over my pants that I could see. But it was in his world that I was living in with our world. So it's a shame he couldn't have caught all that on tape.
If you look up "nope" in the dictionary, that you'll see that segment in that film where the heads coming down the stairs.
Oh, okay.
That's the definition of "nope."
Oh,
just so you know.
Okay.
Eric wanted to ask, what does Justin's mom think about the Ouija boards?
Okay, the Ouija boards. If you ask any spirit to come, they'll come and they'll use the board and they'll talk to you. But there's a lot of entities that are just waiting for somebody to do that. They're not aware that may not be what I would call a good energy. And that's where you can welcome them, ask them to come in. It's like if you've ever seen the vampire movies, they cannot come into your home until you invite them in. Mm-hmm. Well, the Ouija board, when you say, I invite you to talk to me, you're inviting them in. If you know what you're doing, basically, and say that, and before you start to use the board, if you're going to use it, I would prefer not to, but that's me. Always say that you only want entities that are of good nature, good light. I hate to say light and dark because that's another whole nother field to talk about. But you just want good energies that you're talking to through the board if you're going to invite them to talk with you. So they are real. They are a tool, if you want to say that. But you want to be careful with them because people unknowingly have invited things that they decided that is not good.
Just to answer Caesar's question about Ouija boards and spirit boxes, yes and no. How they work is different, but the communication is the same as far as knowing who you're communicating with, trusting who you're communicating with, all that. But the Ouija board, you use a planchette and you ask the spirits to move the planchette through you, in a sense. Spirit boxes, they have to manipulate the box. That's nothing to do with you working through it, as far as I know. It seems like that's different, but as far as communicating on that end, yes.
The only other good comment I have is Becky Crofton said, "So, does she want to come investigate with me sometime?"
No, she's all mine. Sorry.
Heath Edwards says, ask Mom, what percentage of people that say they are psychics and sensitive have the gift?
I don't think you'd know.
I would know that. I would have to know everybody that is like that. But basically, if you're around someone that's saying that they're a psychic and you're at a gathering, not so much listen to what they're saying. And that goes for me too, but feel what they're saying. Okay, and if feel not so much from the brain or the heart, but to feel from the stomach. It's kind of like the whole trunk. Close your eyes and see if what they're saying feels right. Okay. There is people out there that want to be that person and aren't, and can give, if you're really wanting an answer and they give you one and it's just not just garbage. I hate to say garbage, but it's just pure garbage. I don't think they realize what harm they can be doing to that person that wants an honest answer. And like Justin says, I don't have an answer for everything. I just know what I've experienced and I can share that. But I'm not all knowing. I'm just me. But just I wouldn't know the percentage. I don't even think I could guess. And I'm sorry for that.
Well, it's safe to say that it's rare to have someone who is probably, I know you don't talk to a lot of other people to compare yourself to, right, but I would probably could answer that a lot better than you.
You probably could.
And there, there's so many variations in a spectrum and a range of abilities. It's hard to compare one psychic to another, but as far as how accurate they are and how in tune they are, that's more rare. To come up with a percentage, I mean, you're just going to have to be able to really put them to the test, okay? Mom has been tested, okay? Even way before I even started the field research, okay? Like, I knew that, okay, Mom knows shit, crazy shit, it's real, okay. But you have to be careful, too, because sometimes, you have like validated things to me and other things you haven't, but it's almost like, do I believe the other stuff by default? It's like, I haven't seen an alien, but the shit you said about the aliens scared the fuck out of me. So I'm kind of like, well, I can't say that that's horseshit though, because the other shit's real. It's like, why would she fuck with me about the aliens and not about the ghosts?
Right. Right.
So,
I have a question actually. Justin was showing me pictures and I was seeing what I was able to pick up on. And what did I tell you? That you said it was similar to what your mom said about the Moreau house?
All right, back up.
The White House. The house was floating.
Oh.
Now, I was just wondering how, and I understand everybody's interpretation is different, but if they're showing us one thing, how can it be different, if that makes sense? Because how I picked it up was when I see it in a floating house, I was seeing the house was no longer there, which is not there, and I didn't know that. But that's how I interpreted it. Now, Justin said that you said that about the Moreau house. And so obviously that meaning had a completely different, about the floating.
Yeah, I never asked you. Remember when you said the house was floating? Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate what that meant? for her?
The house was, it was 6 feet off the ground and it was hovering. So it was like moving in a swirling, kind of like a hoverboard, if you've seen in movies from Back to the Future. It was actually just hovering above the ground about 6 feet. And I was like, oh, wow, it's floating. The house is it was actually floating in my spirit eyes. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Now, what does that mean to you?
It's just floating.
There's no symbolic.
Yeah, no
thing.
Symbolic meaning at all. It's literally just hovering.
I thought I probably interpreted Justin wrong. But I thought there was something that was meaning to that because, like I said, when I've seen that to what Justin sent me, it was. But I was saying this. I think I even asked him. I said, "This house isn't there anymore." And he said, "You're right."
Well, yeah. That could be the reason why you saw it floating, but I compared the two because you both said the same exact thing, and my interpretation of why the house may have been floating for you was that the house was in the physical world and the ethereal realm.
Oh yeah,
and it has become like an entity itself, a supernatural entity.
So
that's why I thought you saw the house floating too. Like it was a supernatural entity in and of itself.
I mean, I'm still, relatively new. So I'm trying to figure out what the interpretations is, and that's why I was asking. Just in case.
Yeah, that was my suggestion to what that meant.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. I mean, but I don't think so.
If it had,
there's an echo.
Oh yeah, because me and my mom were I have to mute my mic every time she talks because we're sitting right next to each other. So that's why there's an echo. I'm sorry, guys.
He says the floating house was from his acid trip. But I seen it. I never done acid. Heath. Sasquatch is an alien. There you go, Justin.
All right, guys. I think we've made it to an hour and a half. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because we need to have a talk with the group. My mom wants to have a talk with the group. She wants to get us ready, I guess, for stuff to come. Stuff we got to get reprimanded.
I love talking to Donna.
No.
She likes us.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I want to go ahead and mute mommy right now. But actually, before I do, thank you very much for doing this. I know that you didn't want to, you had no interest in, but I think I used my reverse psychology worked on you. Do you think so? A little bit? Like you watched a show where people were asking you to come on.
I watched his show and a soapbox episode, and I was like, okay, yeah, I got to go on. So it wasn't you; it was your team that convinced me.
Okay, I'll live with that. But thank you very much for doing it.
You're welcome.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up, girls. You girls did a great job to help me with the chat. Without you guys, this wouldn't happen. So, thanks again. You guys were awesome. I am glad that you guys got to tune in and get some feedback from a lot of the source of my information. If you couldn't tell, a lot of that was similar. Of course, when it comes from her, it can be a little bit different because she's not me. But thanks for joining us. It's been a really cool show. Hopefully we can have her on again. Maybe we can call her in if she can't be here every once in a while, because I'm sure she don't want to do it every week. I would be surprised if that was the case. But it would be refreshing to get, someone else in here. Necromancer probably isn't going to start up anytime soon. I'm just too busy. Go check out the first episode of season 6 at Rhodes Hotel on YouTube and on Facebook. But we'll go do the links here. InterfaceDeath.net is the hub of everything we do online. It's our website. If you have not checked out our website, please go do it after the show. InterfaceDeath.net.com, whatever you want to type in. You can subscribe to our mailing list, get updates sent to your inbox every time we put something up. We would really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check out Justin Brown Paranormal Research on Facebook and Interface Death on Facebook while you're at it. We're on Twitter and Instagram and The links are in the description for that. If you're watching on Facebook, you can go over on YouTube at Interface Death Paranormal Research. Hit the subscribe button if you want the notifications of the videos we upload. Hit that icon, that bell icon, and you can get notified there. Now, patreon.com/support Interface Death is something that we definitely want to talk about. It's the reason why this content's here. Okay, guys, people like Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Baez, Paranormal Reporter, Joe Vitale, Heather Elliott, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, The Ghost Guild, Kelly McConkey, Tony Felosi, and General 7. They make this stay. They ensure that this show stays. They ensure that the paranormal documentaries that we do, the live streams, everything. So if you cannot support us on Patreon, thank them from the bottom of your hearts for making this content possible. If you're interested in supporting us financially, anything from $1 a month or higher, there's different tiers and rewards you can get for supporting us on Patreon. So please look into that. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks again for joining us. We'll have another topic and another show next week. It'll be either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the softball schedule. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Stick around if you're new to the show. You can see the video promotions at the end of every show, like always. Bless you guys. I love you. You're in my heart. We'll see you next time. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
I just heard something.
It feels like it's train, non-stop. I don't know why.